Conference Center, where we're bringing you a National Conference Center, where we're bringing you a special coverage of today's Pulse. My name is Emefa Akosia Adeti, and here today on the way is the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair 2024. It has been happening for some days now. Tomorrow we'll crown it all, but today we get to have a conversation whether to buy or to build a home. And a little later before that, 29th of October was World Stroke Day. Did you know that it is one of the leading cause of death and even disability in this country? I bet you didn't know. And so we're going to have the conversation about stroke first. We'll go for a quick one when we come back, and then we'll have the conversation also on whether to build or to buy a home. Which one is most affordable? It's a debate we'll settle today on the Pulse. So welcome, take a seat and really be my guest. But to start the conversation today, we'll talk about stroke. As I said, on the 29th of October was World Stroke Day. Today I'm joined by the President of Stroke Association Support Network Ghana, Dr.Jabuni, and he's going to be telling me about how 29th was in some few days ago, whatever they did, what's the support system like, how has stroke become one of the leading cause of death and even a disability. Doc, good afternoon and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so 29th you say was World Stroke Day. Tell me, did the association do anything in particular?
Every year we do something. This year we decided to do something in Pandu. We rotate our activities of 29th around the country because the theme for this year is exercise. So we decided to take our activity to Pandu, where we encourage a lot of youngsters to join an exercise program. Exercise is very, very important, as we will see later. It's one of the risk factors for stroke, a very, very important risk factor. So we encourage youngsters to participate in a big walk, which we conducted up in Pandu. Now,
Doc, if you can help me with a microphone like this.
Like this, okay,
Doc,
sorry.
If you can help me with a microphone like this.
Youngsters, because more and more young people are having stroke. If you go to Kolebo Hospital today, you will see a large number of young people, late 20s, 30s, early 30s. So we are trying to raise awareness of young people of the condition and what they must do to prevent for having a stroke.
You have my attention there on how young people. You have my attention there on how young people turn out to be suffering from stroke. Has this always been happening?
It hasn't always been the case. It has been recent, maybe in the last 2 decades, perhaps the last decade, because of lifestyle changes. People, youngsters are engaging in all sorts of activities that are detrimental to their health, particularly stroke. And we can discuss risk factors later on, but it is because of the change of lifestyle that youngsters are now finding themselves having stroke.
Let's go back to Pandu. What was the response like in Pandu?
It was big. It was big. We, apart from the exercises, we also undertook blood pressure measures and generally advising people on how to manage the risk factors of stroke.
Okay, and the high blood pressure. Okay, and the high blood pressure.
Yes, high blood pressure is the single most important risk factor for stroke. It is deadly, and it is deadly because it is a killer. It is a silent killer. If you have high blood pressure, you don't know you have it. The storm that is going inside of you with your circulatory system is a storm. You don't know. There are no symptoms. So you don't complain until something like a stroke happens to you.
Let's talk about the risk factors then. Let's talk about the risk factors then. Is everybody and anybody
and everybody at all is at a risk? You put it very well. We still have a very important statistic, which is that 1 in 4 of us, 1 in 4 of us all, you, myself, anybody standing here, will have a stroke in their lifetime. Yes, regardless of your age.
Wow, regardless of the age.
So it is really a public health emergency. It is big. It is a priority, a health priority, and I have been talking about it for quite some time. If we don't do something about it, it can become an epidemic, and it's affecting people, young people who are productive, who have families, and so on and so forth. So it is important.
You've said that 1 out of 4 people. So you've said that
right.
1 out of 4 people are likely to suffer a stroke in their lifetime. Okay, and so currently you'd say that whether you are, let's say, from 10
yes, we have known people who are younger than 10 and who have suffered a stroke. That is quite unusual, but it has happened, and I think there could be a relationship between that age and what they actually eat, what they feed on. There is no scientific evidence of this. I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together and say so. But there could be a relationship between these very young people, what they eat, and the stroke they eventually suffer.
So you've mentioned that hypertension is a leading. Okay. So you've mentioned that hypertension is a leading, single most leading cause of stroke. What else would be the other factors?
The other, I just mentioned a moment ago that we were undertaking an exercise event. If you are overweight, obesity is very, very important factor, because if you are overweight, if you do little exercise at all, then there is a likelihood that you could suffer a stroke. So that's one other factor that is important. Another factor is your level of cholesterol. I don't know if people do know what cholesterol is, but it's a fatty substance in the bloodstream. If you have a lot of it, then that could have an adverse effect. It's an important risk factor. The cholesterol, you can have good ones and bad ones.
Okay, I'm going to have you hold on to that. You've mentioned hypertension, lifestyle, cholesterol. I'd like you to take a moment to take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. You're watching the special edition of Pulse, coming to you live from the Accra International Conference Center, where the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is happening. Do stay with us. We'll be back shortly. We're live from the Accra International Conference Center, where the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair 2024 is happening. And so if you're just around, you can still come by, visit some vendors, and then you can get some amazing cool deals on properties and accessories as well. But before we went on a break, we were having a conversation on stroke. 29th of October was World Stroke Day, and today we're recapping on some of the causes, risk factors that you didn't know existed about stroke. And I've just been talking to Dr.Jabuni. Doc, so we were on the causes and maybe the risk factors.
That's right.
You had reiterated that hypertension.
Yes.
You were telling us about low cholesterol or even high cholesterol. You can pick up on that.
Okay. I think we also talked about obesity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right. There are other factors, obviously, all are important factors. About 4 more we can talk about. The first one we should discuss is smoking. Smoking is an important risk factor because of the nicotine that you can inhale and which can then enter your bloodstream and create difficulties for you. Because let's remember that stroke is about blood going to the brain.
Okay.
And if blood doesn't go to the brain, because the blood cannot find its way to the brain because of nicotine, then you stand a very good chance of having a stroke.
Okay.
The other risk factor, important risk factor, is drinking alcohol. Alcohol is also important because of its links or connection with high blood pressure. Your blood can be raised if you drink heavily and if you are a regular drinker. So that's another important risk factor. Another one is diabetes. If you have the condition called diabetes, and I think diabetes is very prevalent in Ghana, many people have discovered have this condition, and it predisposes you to stroke. Now, the other one, which I think I should mention, is a heart condition that some people have. And in Ghana, I think we have established that this condition does occur, and that is what the experts call arterial fibrillation, irregular heartbeats. There are some people who suffer from this condition. And if you have the condition of irregular heartbeats, then there is a possibility that you will develop blood clots. And if you develop blood clots, there is also the chance that these clots will block the path of the blood. And if blood fails to get to your brain, again, that is what stroke is literally, blood not getting to your brain. Yeah, and then you have a brain attack, more or less.
If a person suffers stroke, what is the survival rate? If a person suffers, are they likely to die instantly, immediately, or they can live a bit if some sort of care is given? What's the survival rate of it?
It depends on the size of the stroke, and it also depends on the type of the stroke. There are two types of stroke. One is called ischemic stroke, where the arteries can be blocked. The arteries carry blood to the brain. The other is called hemorrhagic stroke, hemorrhage, yes, where the arteries break because of, say, high blood pressure, and pour blood onto the brain, for example. Blood coming into direct contact with the brain is deadly, it's toxic. Now, if that happens, if it is a hemorrhagic stroke and it is big, you are more likely to die instantly. If it is an ischemic stroke, where there is a blockage, and you are able to get to hospital quickly, and it's important when somebody suffers a stroke that they get to hospital quickly. If you get to hospital quickly, then you can receive appropriate treatment. The block can be dispersed. There are medicines that can break up the clot and let the blood flow easily to the brain.
Does this suggest that if you suffer a stroke, you can be healed completely from that?
It depends on the size of the stroke. If it is a small stroke, you may recover completely. If it is a big stroke, you will not recover completely. You will be disabled to some extent. It really depends on which part of the brain has been damaged as a result of your stroke. If it is the part that, say, control movement, you will be disabled in that way. You won't be able to walk properly. You won't be able to speak properly if it is the language part of your brain that is damaged. So there will be a degree of disability there for us for the rest of your life, I would say. But in small instances, when the stroke is not big, you can recover completely.
Considering the biological formation of a woman,
yes,
are women likely predisposed to, say, the causes of stroke, hypertension, or any form of causes or risk factors? Do you think that women are likely to be predisposed more than men?
Men are, in fact, the statistics show that men, more men suffer stroke than women.
Why?
That's a mystery. I think it's a combination of those factors we are talking about that are responsible for more men suffering stroke. than women. But the science in this area is not conclusive yet.
Okay. Okay. So this year, the theme, what was the theme for this year?
Exercise.
Great. Okay.
Yes.
So you went to Pando and you're championing exercise.
That's right.
Right. How are we intending to break this conversation of exercises in other parts of the country?
Well, obviously, we are celebrating World Stroke Day, and we will, although the 29th is gone, doesn't mean we have come to a stop. We will go on celebrating this probably for the whole of November.
Okay.
And we are planning to encourage people to take walks, encouraging people to walk instead of riding a motorbike. If they are going to the market, if the market is not far away, it's better to walk rather than take. People tend to just jump into a car or jump onto a motorbike. They don't even have bicycles. A bicycle is even better. You get some exercise if you ride a bicycle. Okay.
Doc, I'm going to need you to use the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I tend to speak.
I understand.
And really, what we are trying to do is to go around and maybe we'll go to the malls and meet groups of people and just generally talk to them as they pass by to do their normal shopping.
Okay.
We talk about exercise, the importance of exercise all the time.
Okay.
So that's basically what we're going to do.
Doc, let's talk about support system for persons who have suffered stroke, and especially if you know the stories around here in Ghana. I have friends and families who also have friends and family who may have suffered stroke, and a lot of the time the people that give the care, the support system, tend to suffer some form of depression, and they're tired and they're complaining. Is it to suggest that the support system for persons who have suffered stroke in any way, it's not discussed very much, and what can we do to help the situation?
The support systems for people who have suffered a stroke or who is stroke survivors is virtually nil. It is a big problem in Ghana. I, once upon a time, was the director of stroke services in the United Kingdom for 10 years.
Okay.
And there is a very, very good support system. Government enables carers to stay at home and support those who have suffered a stroke and other conditions as well, not just stroke. Here in Ghana, it is very difficult to get that kind of support for stroke people. Even carers themselves, be they a husband, a wife, or some kind of family, they find it very difficult because of the challenges associated with the financial challenges associated with looking after somebody at home.
Okay.
It's usually going to be at home.
Okay.
Once they are discharged from hospital. So what we are trying to do to address this challenge is to set up, as an organization, to set up community-based stroke centers. Community-based stroke centers will allow those who have suffered a stroke to go to these centers on a daily basis.
Okay.
They go there and engage in various activities, maybe for the whole day, for half of the day, and that relieves carers at home to do their normal chores. It's going to be a big project, but we are talking gently. We are exploring the possibility of setting up, if you like, a community-based stroke center in every constituency.
That sounds.
If it was possible, if we can realize it, then that will go a long way to resolve this problem that we are talking about.
I want to look out for the signs and symptoms, and this will precede the question of will you suffer a stroke instantly, or you'll suffer a stroke quite gradually? Because I like to see that if I was sitting by a person who is almost suffering a stroke, what can I do? What shall I look out for to see that they're about to suffer?
Right, this is very important because if, let's say, we are talking now about stroke, if, may God forbid, I start to suffer a stroke, so I start to have a brain attack. It's a brain attack. You will probably notice that my face has changed. That's what you will see. My face may have become twisted. I may find it difficult to talk. I may find it difficult to raise my arms. If you notice it, and you were well versed with stroke, and you ask me to raise my hands, I wouldn't be able to do it. If I may have a difficulty in even making a movement of any sort, you will notice that too. My speech will be difficult.
Again, Doc, I'm going to need you to take
my speech.
Doc speaks of
all right.
Thinking about
all right.
Stroke
that's right. Okay, all right. My speech will be slurred as if I was drunk.
Okay.
You will notice that too. And if you see that that I'm not really myself, I cannot speak properly. My arms are, if you like, my leg and arm is probably not functioning well, and I'm completely disorientated. I appear to be confused. Then a stroke is attacking me.
Okay.
So you should do something very, very quickly, because, as I said earlier, it's a brain attack, and if you don't get to hospital quickly, brain cells die very quickly. They take minutes, even seconds, to die.
Okay.
And if brain cells die, then depending on the part of the brain that has been attacked, you are going to have problems.
So by this time, the person who is suffering a stroke right in front of me, would it be that it started some days before, some weeks before, something was going on in their body, and then now I can see it? Or you really don't have any control? It can just happen anytime.
It can just happen anytime. It can, unfortunately, that's what it is. You can be seemingly well yesterday, this morning, and sitting here talking, you get an attack.
Okay. Wow. Scarier than I thought.
Okay.
And so you will recommend exercise, you have mentioned. What other kind of lifestyles would you like us to?
I've mentioned alcohol, I've mentioned smoking, I've mentioned diabetes, I've mentioned atrial fibrillation.
What about diabetes? I understand there are types of diabetes, or it doesn't matter at all?
It does not matter, but most frequently is type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you have it and you are being treated, then you probably will control the stroke,
okay.
Or you will prevent stroke from happening to you.
And our food, anything?
Sorry?
We're eating?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Because when I talked about lifestyle is important because, we have tended to eat, these days we tend to eat badly. We don't eat a balanced diet. The food that we eat is devoid of vegetables and fruits. Many people don't actually. Ghana is absolutely stocked with fruits and vegetables, but people don't eat them. I don't know where they go to be honest, but because there's plenty of it, which people can eat. Instead of always eating, banku, konkonte, and all the rest of it. Yeah. You can eat them, but balance it up with fruits. Okay. That's very important. That's a very important lifestyle issue for many, many people, particularly the young.
Okay. Maybe somebody or an organization would like to be part and support the agenda of setting up support systems in communities. How can people watching you be part of the association or help the association realize this dream?
Okay, they can call us, of course.
Okay.
And we have a number which we can give them.
Okay.
Can I say?
Of course.
Yeah, we've got two numbers. We've got two numbers they can reach us on.
Okay.
One is 026 046 3986.
Okay, would you say that?
Or, and I can repeat that again, 026 246 3986. Or they can ring on 034 203 1202. I'll repeat the last one again.
Okay.
03420 31202. We can also, we've got a website,
okay,
which and it is www.strokeghana.org. We can obviously be reached in that way as well.
Thank you so much, Chief. Maybe there's something you would like to share that I didn't ask you, maybe?
Now, it's important that the other day I was watching an interview on the street of Accra, and the interviewer was asking people if they knew what stroke was. And it's astonishing. About 90% of all the people that were interviewed did not know what stroke was. It is worrying. And I think, and they did not know what to do if they saw somebody having a stroke. And I think this is something that we would like to do more and more to educate the general public what stroke actually is and what to do when they see somebody having a stroke.
Yes, before I end this conversation, I know you mentioned that if you're able to see the symptoms, then you can rush them to the hospital. Is there any first aid at all at home I could give to a person who is suffering a stroke before I can transport them to the hospital?
No, the first aid is to get them to hospital quickly.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Get them to hospital quickly. And I know in Accra it may not be a problem. In big cities that may not be a problem. But in the vast majority of other parts of Ghana, it is a challenge to get somebody to hospital quickly.
It sure is. Okay. Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you for talking to us, and wish you the best in this journey of trying to set up this support system, which we desperately need.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, so we're just about going for a quick one. When we come back, we shall be discussing whether to buy or build a home. We'll just settle that debate, but don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Live on Joy News here. We're coming to you live from the Accra International Conference Center, where this year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is happening. If you're thinking of buying a home, building a home, and you need your home accessories, please just come here. It's not too late. I'm sure you can drive here. It's Friday. You'll be against the traffic. If you're unable to come here today, you can make it tomorrow as well. But today, let's settle the debate. So I assume that you have money and you want a house and you want to make it a home, but you're confused as to whether buying it or you should build it. So I've got the experts here. They would advise you on both, and then maybe at the end of the conversation you would make your choice. So yesterday you saw him on the pulse. He's back again, and I'm also joined by another gentleman. Today I'm joined once again by Isaac Ntiamwa, and he is Lakeside Estate Marketing Manager. I'm also joined by Hosni Mubarak Sali, Afro Aura Properties Limited Project Manager. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so you said a good afternoon for Hosni because you have the microphone.
Yes, good afternoon
so,
for myself and
Hosni then. Hosni, yeah. Okay, so I know that the conversation around owning a house always comes with budgets, and yesterday we had this conversation. So we assume that we have the same amount of money. That's no problem. We're not complaining about the economy for now. Okay. And we say that we want a house. I'd like to know which one of them is the best option to go for, buying it or building it. You go.
All right. Thank you very much, and greetings to your audience. And I would like to send greetings to my CEO, Dr. Prince Joseph Eiku, and my director, Salah Kalmoni. We have been in the industry for the past 25 years, which we emphasized on that yesterday in our discussion. and I'm happy for you to bring me back to speak on this subject. Buying a house or building a house depends on your circumstances as you, the individual. You need to weigh the options, look at what is practical for you to your circumstances, and then you make the best decision. One thing I always advise, because I have been in the industry, I do sell and I do advise on industry experts for people who want to build as well. Let's take the first instances if you want to build a house. Yesterday, we gave certain modalities as to what you need to do to be able to, build a house. First, you need to find a location. That is getting the land. The land that you are going to get, is it legit? Does it have a title? Is there any encumbrance on the land? After you get a location, do you have a professional architect to give you the right design that you want? After you do the designs, can you get a permit? After you get a permit, when do you start? You need to engage a civil engineer who is going to put a structure together for you on the side. So building a house goes through a systematic process. Like I mentioned, you put all the pieces together to be able to put the house together as a product.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to buying a house, most of the time, some properties are already developed. So you get in, you have your money, you pay, you move in. In some instances, it may be at about 80% completed. You make a deposit. Once the property gets completed, then you pay the rest and then you move in. But your circumstances will depend whether you should buy or build. And for me, as a professional in the industry, if you want to buy a house, you look at what you are really considering. Are you looking for convenient? Because the conveniency involved in buying a house is so critical. Maybe you are not even in the country. You want to build. We hear stories all the time. I sent money through my uncle, and when I came back, I saw bare land. It was up to lentil level. I couldn't see it. But if you are dealing with an expert or a player like Lakeside Estate, by the time you come, the properties are already built. It gives you that convenience. You don't want to stress yourself. So with me as a professional, I would advise that if you want conveniency, buy a house.
Okay.
If you want to go through the wahala and the stress, then put yourself in building a house.
I can't wait to hear from Hosni. Hosni, so I saw you, you can pass the microphone. I saw you agree to a few of the things that he was saying. Is this to suggest that you're agreeing to buy in a house?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, I agree with some of the things he said, but there is another option to what he said. It's very critical, like he said, that when you make the decision of wanting to build a house, there are things you should consider. He mentioned a couple of things, and I think the solution, he said circumstance, and I agree with him 100% on most of the things he said in terms of circumstance, but there's always a way around that as well. When you acquire the land, and for instance, you want to put up a house, like he said, you should involve the professionals. That is the challenge most times. Involving the professional, that is where the challenge comes in this part of our country. It's the service of the professional. That is our biggest challenge. But once a professional is engaged right from the onset, you get your house.
Okay, so for you, you're not very bent on go and buy it. If you're able to hire the services of a professional who will cut out what he decided to call it as wahala. If you cut out the wahala, then you can engage that person to build for you.
He rightly said, it should be based on your circumstance. If for instance, if you are outside in the abroad and you want to purchase a house.
I'm sitting here, you are citing all the examples that people are in abroad. I'm sitting here with you. Please cite the example of the person watching me from home now.
So what happens? What happens mostly in our situation down here is that it always boils down to the funds, and it always boils down to the fees of the professional.
Okay.
So when you want to engage the service of a professional, it becomes expensive. Then you want to cut corners. Then you would want to engage the normal mason.
But for the properties that you both build, I don't think that you price it in a way that the price doesn't go up at any point. The fees, just like the professional or whoever is going to render the service to you will charge you. You also put the value on the price of the house. So if I've seen that a price can cost, say, a certain amount today, and tomorrow it doesn't cost the same thing. What's the difference between that and the professional that I'm going to be hiring and be paying as well?
Okay. Can you kindly come again?
Okay. So if I wanted to buy an already made house, it's built, so I'm just paying. The house that you've built, that you're selling today, is not the same price that you'd sell for tomorrow. Okay? And it's the same thing that if I hired a service professional, today they give me a price because they say that many factors will go into the pricing of the service or the cost of service that they're giving you. So I don't particularly see the difference in it. Are we talking about professionals or the cost of the professional charging you, if you understand me? What's the difference really?
Okay. So the costs, we are talking about, I agree with you on the two different things.
Okay.
Both are two different things. The cost of the professional is also a challenge.
Okay.
And the costs in terms of getting the professional work itself is also another thing.
Okay. Okay.
Because when, for instance, let's take a 3-story or a 2-story, you would have to consider issues in terms of the weight. That means when it comes to the steel works, there are certain factors that will go inside. That's the thickness of the beams. So that is where the cost of the work comes in. Then the professional who is going to supervise or bring out the drawings, who has that knowledge of how the thickness should be. That's also where it also comes in.
I think I'm quite understanding why Isaac is describing it as wahala. Okay, let me come back to you, Isaac. Let's talk about convenience and customization. You outgrow style, you outgrow taste, you get tired of a thing, and we all agree that afterthought is always expensive, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking, at my age, I want to buy a house, say from Lakeside Estate or Afro Properties. When I am 40, maybe my taste is changed. But maybe if I am building, I may anticipate my taste in, say, 3 or 4 years. So I'm able to customize the house. Does that not mean anything at all?
So if you remember yesterday, we talked about needs and want when you are getting a home. And we talked about the fact that you can customize, and everything you do in construction comes at a cost. Now, the customization comes in especially when you are determining what you really want and what you need. So if you need a house just to create shelter for yourself, you may not pay attention to particular details as to, in terms of specifications and, the quality and the standards, or, for example, let's say, scaling it up to a certain kind of luxury you want.
Okay.
When you are building, you consider all those things as well. Because once you get your design from the architect, now of these days, it is even easy because the architect will give you an impression of the outcome of the product you are building before you even start construction. So once your design drawings are ready, they transform it into a model, what we call the 3D impression of the house you are going to build. So the house you are dreaming to build is on paper for you to see. Now, what goes in will be determinant of your customization and standardization that you want to put in. Is the same thing with when you buy a house as well. For example, let me use Lakeside as a case study. And I'm using you because you're in Ghana here, and we're selling in Ghana here. You want to buy a house from us because sometimes not all the properties are completed. Because you do have clients who would want to do certain customization to suit them. And we give you that flexibility so that you can also customize as if you are building a house. So instead of you getting the professional, putting all the fees, going through all the chain processes to build a house, you can do the same with the developer when you are buying the house from him. So in your case, you want to do customization. You are growing. You will get to a certain stage, certain things will not be of a preference for you. So you want to do it in such a way that when you get to that age, you wouldn't want to demolish some things, you wouldn't want to spend much on those items. That can be done with the developer as well.
For example, I have an uncle who forgot that he's got kotoje problem, he's got knee problem, and has built a huge story. I anticipate that in the next 4 years, he would have to relocate from top and come down. Then what really happens to the down? But I'll come back to you. Let me go to Husni. Do you think that trust really plays a major role in purchasing a house that is built? Especially because I cannot tell the material. Material is so tangible that you have to experience it. You have to use it for a while before you get to tell that. I know that these days there's a thing called structural integrity test or something. So if a person hires, and that's done by an engineer or somebody who's a civil engineer, I have to still trust that person to give me the verdict that, listen, the property you're buying is of the highest quality. It can stand whatever weather test and all of that. Why would I want to play with my trust like that and hand it over into the hands of a property developer? Why would I want to do that?
Okay.
I like to think I'm speaking for so many Ghanaians.
Okay. So trust is very, very important in this circumstance because when you are purchasing a property, it's a lifelong investment. It's something that's going to take you a long way, decades and many decades after. So trust is very, very important, and integrity is also very important when on the side of the developer. That's how come the integrity, the structural integrity test is very, very crucial, a very vital aspect in the purchasing process, because people have had their experiences, and you've heard people share. People even on their own personal building levels. You've seen buildings collapse. We've seen videos and stuff. So trust is very, very crucial. For instance, that Afro-Arab properties, for instance, yes, just like Lisa said, that there are times we develop the property to an 80% level, wait for a buyer to come in, and also share his thoughts or ideas.
Is this intentional because of the behavioral pattern of purchases? Because you anticipate that at all costs, the 20%, if you don't leave it for the buyer, at some point you may break something or you have to do something. Why do you always, because I see this option running through both Afro-Arab and Lakeside Estates, do you intentionally build it up to 80% and leave the 20%, anticipating that the buyer would want to say, I want it this way? You want to take it? Okay.
So before I go on to that, I would like to touch base on the structural integrity as well. You said, why would you want to trust that I can deliver that for you?
Yes. Because you're doing business, are you not?
You buy Vortic water, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what goes into it?
I like to think the FDA is giving me some confidence.
So you have some form of trust that FDA have certified that product is authentic and you can consume and it won't harm you. The same way the construction industry is also certified by the Ghana Institution of Engineers and Surveyors and all that.
Okay.
So we build according to the Ghana Building Code.
Okay.
So you would not want to do anything that will tarnish the image of your brand.
Okay.
And when that happens, it's going to destroy your business.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Okay.
When it comes to the aspect where we build to a certain point and then, we allow you, the customer, it depends from brand to brand. With our brand, what we do is that we have standard products that we produce from 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. In not all the cases that you will come that the property is waiting for you to get your opinions and all that.
Okay.
But you see, the industry is such that things keep changing with time. We have industry trends. Behavioral patterns of consumers keep changing over time. So once you are in the industry, especially for us who have been in the industry for the past 20 years, the house we were building in 20 years ago are not the houses we are building now. That tells you that people's preference and taste keep changing with time. So as we build, we anticipate that MFA will come, and for MFA, she would want to choose her own tiles. She will want to choose her own lighting system. She wants to have her kitchen customized in a certain way.
You read me like a book.
So we create that room so that you can satisfy certain group of the audience.
Okay.
But as much of the time, we do it according to the standard we have. Because just like you have geisha with different product lines, by the time you go different, you won't say that, oh, this geisha milk, I want you to customize it this way for me. But they use the consumption pattern of those products to be able to know the preferences and the taste of consumers. Then they will tailor it to produce it.
Okay.
But with construction, because you put all the pieces together from scratch, you can't anticipate that this person will come. When you do that, it creates room for more customization from everyone. Okay, this one, MFA will come, she says he wants this. Yeah, will come, he says he wants that. Kweku will come, he says he also wants it. It complicates the construction because construction is a process.
Okay. Hosni, are there any pros at all if you decide to want to build? Say, I didn't have to buy the land. Maybe it was a gift from a family and all of that. And so I'm already in a position where I have to build. Are there any pros at all?
Yes, there are a lot of pros. A lot of pros. For starters, you get the option to customize. First of all, you get the option to customize and do things the way you want it.
Okay.
With the help of a professional, like we all said from the inception. So that is the most beneficial pros when it comes to having the land.
And doing it at your own pace.
Doing it at your own pace. And also, in terms of funding, you know your strength more than any other person. And we are in the time and era where our wants and needs keep increasing. So back in the days, we have our fathers putting up family houses where we have, let's say, 4 or 5 bedrooms. And they were these huge houses. They looked more like mansion styles, and they were willed onto families. And now it becomes a problem to even want to share them up. But knowledge and Airbnb is making things. We are a more rapid era where people are understanding the concept of Airbnb. So people are now utilizing space.
Okay.
So with your own land, you get to do the things the way you want. You even get to divide the land into portions and design it to suit the trends.
Okay.
For instance, MFI, you have a one plot, and one plot that was built to you. You decide that no, you divide it into 2. You use a half plot to build something for yourself, and my people call it. I've forgotten the word we use. Okay. Something to keep the family running. You build an apartment or maybe a chamber and hall just to rent out something to generate external revenue.
Okay.
To support.
Okay.
Because maintaining a house in itself
is another conversation. Okay. In wrapping the conversation, Isaac, take this one for me. In build, and especially because you're very emphatic on it, you want to advise that people will buy so that they cut out all the wahala in there. Also, the option of people who build and they take so many years before they are able to finish. I understand that the building or the structure also loses its integrity. What does that mean?
That is very true. You rightly said, some people want to go on their own pace. One thing you should understand that the economic circumstances will not wait for you. Whatever you do, you need to factor all those things. So let's say you first started building a house in 2023. Cement bag was 50 Ghana cedis, and then iron rods per ton was 3,000 Ghana cedis. Now she is finishing the house in 2024. Cement is now 101 Ghana cedis. Iron rod per ton is now 9,000 Ghana cedis. So you get the pace to build at your own pace based on your budget. But by the time you finish the house, instead of you using, let's say, 200,000 to finish the house, you will have used maybe about 500,000 Ghana cedis to finish the house. So it is good to go at your own pace, but you need to consider the cost implications associated with it.
It looks like for this segment of our debate, the buying, there's 1-0. It looks like the buyers are almost getting it. So Afro Properties recommending that, listen, there are pros and cons to all of it. Lakeside Estate is quite emphatic. Maybe buy it, but if you must build, really still, there's a way they can go about it for you. But my time is up for this session already. Did you have something to say?
Yes,
Okay.
With the aspect of with the last statement he said, he's very right. But it's equally the same when you want to buy, it's always about the readiness of the cash.
The cash, right?
It's always about the cash.
I understand.
And the means to get the cash.
Yes.
For instance, if you should go in for a mortgage in Ghana, it's never going to be favorable. Most especially for instance, let's use MFR. In the case of, you should go in for a mortgage. You want to purchase a house from maybe, let's say, Afro-Arab. Trust me, it will take you years. That is why Afro-Arab, we decided to design our own in-house tailored model. In instances you want to buy a house from us, you can decide to pay 40%. Then we'll give you the house, then you move in, and we'll give you 5 years to pay in installments.
Okay.
With no interest. And alternatively, if it happens that you don't have the 40%, we have something we have designed again, we call the build-up. Well, you can deposit cash towards the 40%. Gradually, when you hit the 40%, we give you the house. Then you still pay the remaining. So with his case, it then means a large market is left untapped, which is the middle and the low income earners.
Okay.
Because they can never have the ready cash to purchase the house. What happens to them?
Question for the gods. When we come back, I'll tell you, Lakeside also has got something on offer. We'll come back and then I'll tell you about that. Just stay with us. We are coming to you live from the Accra International Conference Center. And again, we're reminding you that this year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is underway. And you have not missed out at all. You can still come by. It's not too late. If you're unable to come today, you can still come tomorrow. So let's wrap our conversation on as to whether you should buy a house or you should build it yourself. You're probably thinking, maybe buying is the best, or maybe building is the best. But let's hear from the experts. And I'm just joined by gorgeous woman, Felicia Sao, and she is from RSS Developers Limited, and she's the managing director. I'm also going to be talking to Albert Otten, and from Paraben Greenfield, Accra, and he's the manager as well. Did I get the surname right? Thank you. I rehearsed it before we came on. So we've been trying to get some clarity, because I'm thinking maybe if I'm building the house small, I'm doing my small susu and building it, maybe it's better. But you never know. If I get to talk to you, then apparently building it small, at some point my building will lose its structural integrity or something. You never know. I've just learned that today. So Felicia, tell me, if I was sitting in front of you consulting, where really would you be tilting to, buying or building?
So it's a factor of many things. It depends also on the customer, the client, what their desires are. You would first assess and listen to because most of the time it comes from emotion. So a person who's buying would say, I'd rather want to build my things small. But today, in today's terms, things are changing. You can actually just buy already made packages and alleviate all that stress of building your house small. You mentioned susu. It takes time, and when the builder doesn't build the right thing, then you have to demolish. That's a waste of money versus buying a ready-made product. So I would rather advise in that kind of scenario to buy. Rather than going through that whole emotional stress of, are they really building to my spec, or are they going to build off my spec and then I'm going to have to waste money? So I would advise buy already made, built spec, which in today's terms people are building nice homes. So you wouldn't be far off from your desire in terms of what you're looking for.
Okay, Albert. This will mean that I have to trust you completely, that you're going to choose my neighborhood for me, choose my neighbors for me, choose the materials that you're going to use to build the house, and also trust that you're giving me a fair deal. Would you say that these options are enough for a person to want to go for the option of buying, or there are some little pros in the building yourself that you want to advise us on?
Yes, thank you very much. I think that I couldn't have agreed more with my co-panelist here. To leave it in the hands of the developer to choose your neighbors for you, I think is the best, because before one can even make the decision to buy from a developer, it means you've done your own due diligence, your background check on the developer, and you trust that they are selling what you want before you decide to put your money in there, because believe you me, whatever that you put money into when it comes to real estate, it's investment. And so it is investment that you are not just looking at recouping the benefit today, but for the future. So if you leave it in the hands of the developer is going to make the right choices for you, make sure that you have the right neighbors around you, the right people, and all the materials that are used for the construction of the home are the right materials, so that you will not have future problems when it comes to probably if you decide you want to dispose it of or whatever, you will not have those issues. So I would always advise to trust the developer to make the right decision for you, because of the due diligence and the confidence you have reposed in the developer to buy from them.
For some reason, I trust women. Somebody will say because you're a woman. So Felicia, take this for me. Are there any disadvantages at all in deciding to want to buy? Is there anything, any disadvantage, teeny one at all, that if a person decided to buy from, they should be looking out for, like it or not, it will hit them at some point?
Let's be honest. Sometimes when you buy from a developer, you don't really get what you want. And that's the one risk, because they'll show you nice fancy pictures, and then when you go onto site, it's totally different to what you were expecting, and it kind of puts a damper on your spirit, and you've already invested in this thing and it's not what you aspired for. So from that aspect, yes, that's one.
What then should the purchaser look out for, or maybe shall I say, what will RSS be offering a person that will take them out of this, distress?
So for us, our developments are existing. It's not off plan. It's not a futuristic image. You can actually come and physically touch and see and even experience the community, because they are gated estates. So that's the one advantage that RSS has against its competitors who are selling off plan. Yeah.
Who does, by this time, do you allow the purchaser to do anything called the structural integrity test? Does it come from RSS, or the purchaser would have to come with their own engineer to be sure that what they're buying? Yes, I can feel and touch, but I wish it was a pair of shoes that if I took, I could just know that this is quality or not. Yeah. This is a building. How do I know?
RSS would verify that and confirm that for you, because you are buying an asset that has already been tried and tested. Even during the construction phase, quality tests were being done, and to assure even us as the client from the contractor that what they are building is of a high quality and a robust structure.
Okay.
Yes.
Albert, so for Paraben as well, Paraben Greenfields, again, if a purchaser wanted to purchase, is it also the physical structure, or you have the off-plan as well?
Okay, so Paraben Greenfield, this is our 10th year. This year marks our 10th anniversary.
That's something.
And our structures are there for you to see, to touch, to feel.
Okay.
And so it is not about us taking your money and give you 2 years, 3 years for you to come and then inspect at every level of construction. No, we've already built these homes, and the plan is to build about 500 luxury homes. And we are not just doing this in Accra. We are not in Accra. We are doing this in Kumasi. This is a market that nobody wants to be in.
Wait.
So this is what makes us unique.
Okay.
And this is also a gated community where people are already living there. We have families, retirees living there, people in the diaspora. This is the right place for them, because you don't want to put your trust in a family member or a friend to go shopping a land or not. We've already built the homes, and we are making it easy for everybody to be able to buy it. And so you have to trust us to make that right choice for you.
So I'll stay with you. So it means that if you've been running for 10 years, it means that I can trust you to also do an off-plan. Do you have anything of the sort?
Yes. So this is something we've been thinking about, because in the real estate, a lot of things evolves. Things are changing. So many things are changing. So sometimes you start a project today, you build it, and then the next year or two, something new comes up. So now we want to work with the prospect for them to decide, what do you want? How can we help you to get what you want? What is your budget? Is there a budget we can work with? These are things we are considering. So very soon we'll be rolling out the next phase of our project, where we'll be considering doing an off-plan sale where we can work with these individuals so that we build to taste.
Okay. Felicia, is there anything like after purchase? Is there anything you offer the purchaser after they have bought the house? Any form of service?
Yes. Yes, we do. Estate management services. Okay. So you are not left alone to look after your own property. Okay. The estate manager will manage that for you. If your water tap, something wrong with your utilities, will help you sort that out. So it takes off that stress as well. But obviously these services come at a monthly fee, which sometimes some people don't believe in it. But then when they see the service that is given to them, then they actually buy into it and support the estate management
do customers
process.
know the arrangements before?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
you tell them up front.
Okay.
Up front.
Have you had challenges with people who have bought, properties already and then they want to resell to people? Are there any arrangements of the sort? Do you become a mediator or anything?
So we can become a mediator, and if one wants to sell, we do allow you to sell. You can sell on your own, but obviously you'd have to notify the estate manager that you're going through this process, and obviously would need to verify the type of person you're bringing in, and because remember, it's a community. You have to put in your checks and balances to ensure that everybody around you is protected.
Which one is expensive, buying or building yourself? And Albert, I'll come to you for the answer as well.
Buying or building? It depends. I always want to say it depends because each person has a specific spec. And usually in the market, people will think it's more expensive to buy from the developer. But now these days, developers are matching people who are building by themselves.
Okay.
So it's a factor of so many things. I think it's really what the customer can afford and what the developer is offering versus me going out by myself. But if it's I going out for myself, buying as an individual, that extra headache, do I want that extra headache versus going to the developer? It's a full package. I won't have to go and look for materials. The developer's already done that. It takes off. It depends how you look at it.
I think I understand, Albert.
Yeah.
Is it expensive? Which one is expensive?
I think, in my candid opinion, I think that building yourself is more expensive.
Is it?
Yes. This is why I say building yourself is more expensive. To build a house, to start with, you actually start from your bedroom. By the time you decide you want to buy or build a house, you decide where you want to buy the land, how much that land will cost you, how much it will cost you to build that whole house. So you know the cost to put up that 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house. But the challenge here in this part of the world is that a lot of us don't have what it takes to build in our rooms before we come out. So we want to start bit by bit. And by the time we realize the prices of materials have skyrocketed. Okay. And so you are better off to buy the already built house, which is already costed. And we know how much, even if you want to do an off-plan purchase.
You have a fair idea.
You have a fair idea how much that will cost you. So even if the developer gives you a year or two, that price is locked in. But if you decide you want to build yourself, after a year, if the prices change, it affects the cost of the construction and everything. And then you also, the challenge we have in this part of the world, a lot of people will not employ the right artisans to do it. Like, for example, immediately I get an architect to do the drawings for me. I don't even think about a QS, a quantity surveyor, to do the quantities for me and all of that.
I didn't think at this point it was needed.
You see, so you already have a fair idea before you start construction.
Okay.
So by the time you realize somebody has just done the drawings and then he has just started the foundation, the footings and everything, and then but they don't know how much that house is going to cost them anyway to build.
Okay.
And now they start complaining, no, things are, because it didn't cost it from the beginning. So you don't even know how much it's going to cost you and your whether you have that much savings. So I think that to buy is cheaper than to build.
Okay. Of course you can.
It's interesting what Albert has also said. Remember, the developer takes much of the risk versus now I as an individual building. All the risk is on me. And like he said, when the price goes up, that budget of maybe 300,000 that you said you're going to build your house for shoots up to 400 versus if you had bought from the developer, it stays at that 350 or 300.
Okay. We really never think about it like that. So say I visit RSS or Private Greenfield. I like the building, I like your choice, the taste of material and everything. But I have a land already. Can I get RSS to build for me? Get a costing and then no. Why not?
Because remember our product is a standard product.
Right.
Because interesting that you're asking this question because today a lady came also. She says, I like your designs, but I have land. Would you build for me? And I said, no, because we have a gated community. I can refer you to someone who can build the construction for you.
Okay.
But maybe then the another avenue for developers then is to sell plans to people.
Okay.
You know, in as much as it's part of a gated community, but don't just look. If somebody comes to you and says, can you build for me on my plot? Then you say, I can design it for you and sell you a plan, but I can't construct for you.
Okay.
That could be another option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's RSS located? And I'll come to you with that question. Where's
RSS, we are located in Klagon.
Okay.
Community, near Community 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just off the
but your
Lashibi Road.
And your office as well?
Yes, we're actually on the estate.
Okay. Do you have a number you like to put out?
Yes.
At some point you find
Yes,
it.
I'll
Okay.
find it.
Okay. We're almost wrapping the conversation, so you want to reach out for the number and then Albert. So I have a land, and Kumasi. How can you how can you help me, Albert?
So this is what it is. Prabon Greenfield is a developer. We are not contractors. So we design and then we engage a third-party contractor or construction firm to build for us. So if you come to us with your land, we will not be able to help you. Now, one other thing is we've also made it easy for people to be able to buy their own lands within our gated estates. That we also have service plots within our community.
Okay.
Yes, where you can buy the land and then build yourself. Okay. So it is that option is available for anybody who wants to buy a service plot already within Prabon Greenfield, the gated estate.
Do you have an office here in Accra?
Yes, so we have an office here at Kempinski Hotel. Okay. And then our main office is actually at Kumasi at this estate. Within the estate, we have an office.
Okay, so people will find you if they came to Kempinski to find
exactly.
you easily. Prabon Greenfield. Quickly, Felicia, do you have the number to share? Or maybe if they put RSS on Google Map or anything, it'll bring them to Klagon. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, lady and gentlemen, for talking to me. Right now, you have made a choice. But guys, let me recommend this beautiful place to you. FK Living from Kwame Living. So if you're on a budget and you like to design your home and you love quality and you love nice stuff, I'd recommend FK Living for you. From Kwame Living. Check them out on social media and then get them to, get you centerpieces, chair, anything you've seen here today where I've had my conversation. Thank you for joining us on Pulse today. We came to you live from the Accra International Conference Center where the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is happening this year. Tomorrow, we'll see you. My name is Emefa Akosia Adeti. We'll see you here at the Accra International Conference Center. Bye-bye.